Mavericks eviscerate Phoenix last night. It was a surreal evening for all of us. They win by 33 points. They do it on the road in a Game 7 against the team with the best record in the entire league, entering the playoffs as the championship favorite. So it was, truly one of the more stunning outcomes in NBA history is what we witnessed last night. And so The Ringer has a really nice article. Zach Cram is a basketball super genius. And so he has some, just to contextualize how insane this game was, how insane this performance was. And then it kind of reaches into the series as a whole as well at times. But there's some really good stuff here. And it starts off by basically only one road team ever having won a Game 7 by a greater margin than what the Mavs did last night. You have to go all the way to 1948. It's the Philadelphia Warriors. This is probably Broadus's Philadelphia Warriors,
I was selling popcorn that day at the arena.
Yeah, Broadus could rattle off the entire 1948 Philadelphia Warriors team, I can imagine. But that is pre-NBA Basketball Association, okay, of America, that kind of deal. 39 points is what they won by. So now the modern record is now Dallas's, but it was previously belonged to the 05 Pacers. They beat Boston in a Game 7 by 27 on the road.
Wow.
So, and I think Reggie Miller was kind of talking about it on the broadcast last night because Reggie Miller was a part of that Pacers team, went in, beat Paul Pierce and the Celtics 05. So,
it was one of the few non-annoying things that he said.
Hey, man, chill out, bro. Chill out.
I had him
People
on
hate Reggie. I love Reggie in the mix. He says everything with his chest, whether he's right or wrong. He's just so excited about it. I love it, dog. I'm just laughing, sitting on the couch like, oh, go ahead, Reggie.
All right.
He has no idea what he's talking about, but he loves it.
It's good to know. It's good to know that some people like him.
I love it.
I guess it makes a little bit more sense now for the execs to hang on to him.
That's right. Let's see. Game was a blowout from the start until garbage time. Mavs won each of the first three quarters by double digits. So at halftime, they're up by 30. That's a new record for a Game 7. Being up by 30 at the half in a Game 7, that's a new NBA record as well.
And it really feels like, to me, it was like a 45-point win. That's the way it felt because so much of the fourth quarter was spent inside that 40 range. And then the late three that ticked off Boban to even bring it down to, 33? It was much closer to 40 than a 30-point win, if you ask me.
Yeah, Boban was ready to go John Wick style on these dudes. That was pretty funny at the end of the game. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, Boban's riled up. I've never seen him angry before.
And I can't tell if I'd pick him in a fight, I think it would be kind of like a Princess Bride with Andre the Giant fighting a little guy.
Fair enough. But I will say, I read this article on Boban from years ago in The Athletic, and they describe how good of shape this guy's in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's obviously bigger. He's a monster. He's an ogre. But he's a friendly monster for the most part. But you don't want to rile up the friendly monster.
Shrek?
Yeah, he's got that vibe to him.
Friendly monster?
But he's supposedly one of the most in shape dudes. Yeah. You had players from the Spurs when he was on the Spurs and stuff talking about the dude's regimen and how hard he works and all that kind of stuff. He's in shape. So
it was impressive to see him fall all the way down and get back up without, I wonder about these things.
Yeah.
And then the little lefty reverse lay-in that he attempted. I'm always surprised how he's coordinated.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a hooper. I think, he moves like a good YMCA player, which is a compliment to him because usually guys like that are just lumbering.
You see how big his hands were compared to everybody else's head?
Yeah.
I don't think you want to fight that guy.
Probably
big
not.
Frying pan hands. By the time he lands that, he's going to ring for 3 days, man.
It's over.
Yeah.
He carries the basketball like it's like an apple.
Like it's
or
nothing.
something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's a little Nerf ball you dunking on your kid or something.
Okay, Mavericks led by 27. Suns only scored 27 in the first half. That's the second fewest for any team in Game 7 history. It's the 08 Hawks, who were the 8th seed. They were terrible that year. They scored 26 in the first half because they surprisingly got to Game 7 against the eventual Celtics, the eventual champion, who were the Celtics that year. But the first half was a historically bad half. Of course, you have Luka scoring the same amount of points as the Suns did, and he did it completely by himself with 27 in the first half. You have Luka ending the game with 35 points in just 30 minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie goes 30 points off the bench. Doncic and Dinwiddie, the first pair of teammates to each score 30 points in a Game 7 since Shaq and Kobe
Wow.
did the deed against the Sacramento Kings in 2002.
Oh, that was an epic series right there as well.
It was. But how about that?
I think the Lakers had to come back. Yeah, it's historic. You know, it really is. And as impressive as it was what the Mavs did, the stat before that you gave earlier on how bad the Suns were with 27, it's like you had these two massive polar opposites. And I don't think you can get away from the idea that the Suns are chokers now. Some of the biggest chokers we have seen in our lifetimes in the world of sport, combining what happened last year with what we just witnessed. And I'm not sure exactly what it's all about, but they weren't ready to play. They were psyched out, and the Mavs absolutely were ready for the moment. Where I think Phoenix was maybe in denial about how big the moment was, or it's weird. And then how they went out as losers with the weird attitudes and injury stuff. It's like, I don't know if the world's jumping on them enough for how pathetic that was. I know I'd be thoroughly disgusted if I was a Suns fan today.
Yeah, and Chris Paul, that narrative's now with him, stuck with him, will be glued to him forever. If he can find a way to get a title, and we'll see how much of an influence he is on whatever title he can end up getting potentially over the next 2 or 3 years, whatever. But that stuck to him. If you're Devin Booker, you're like, get away from me, Chris Paul. Because now this is like Devin Booker's now. He let the 2-0 lead in the finals go last year. He doesn't show up at all in Game 7 at home, and another forfeit of a 2-0 series lead for him. So now that's 2 on his belt. If you're Devin Booker, you're going, dang, I don't want this narrative. But is that going to end up being his story when we look back? And he's still got time to change it. Yeah. But right now, it's like, oh my gosh, am I following the footsteps of Chris Paul in a way that I desperately don't want to be?
Chris Paul doesn't win a championship ever. He's going to be in that realm of Hall of Fame basketball players, the John Stocktons and people like that don't win a championship.
Like a yips factor where it's like you get in these moments and he's got too much now. There's been too much. The history's there. He's seen too much. No. And it's like, I don't have it.
He's had opportunities the last, this was, they always say this was your best opportunity. No, really his best opportunity was last year. That was his best opportunity. Well, and that, to actually be in the finals and be up 2-0 and not get it done. Yeah. If you look at really the Suns, they won all these games. But when it comes to playoff success, they regress, right?
They're the first team to outpace the league by 8 games and not even win the championship.
See, nobody remembers that now.
Finals.
Nobody's going to remember that anymore.
They dominated the league.
Yeah, but nobody remembers that now. It's the same thing. Didn't the Mavs? Mavs with the first seed went Golden State, right? Golden State knocked them around that 1 year. Donnie Nelson and that crew. Nelson, that crew. Yeah. Nobody remembers. They always say, the Mavs were the number 1 seed. Nobody remembers the records and all that. No, it's these championships now. Chris Paul will not win a championship.
I think they got to blow. I think they got to blow up the team. I don't know how trading one star. Probably I'd be looking to part with Chris Paul for anything right now. Like, oh, here he is, Chris Paul, Hall of Famer. Who wants this guy to entertain your fan base? Can I get Colin Sexton? Hell, can I get Russell Westbrook? I'm looking for any new combination other than Chris Paul dominating the basketball, because we need Ayton more involved. Everybody's going young. We have one of the few centers in the entire league that can punish that. He can dribble, he can pass, he can score, and if you bring Littles, the offense should be flowing through him. And I'd be looking to move on from him.
I think he's now 3-5 in Game 7s. His career record is
Chris Paul.
Yeah. There's something that's not right there.